Hello again, guys. Well, it is 11:12 a.m. and we just got an update from the National Hurricane Center. And as previously stated, now we have Tropical Storm Erin. Tropical Storm Erin, it has winds of 40 knots, 100 with a middle barometric pressure of 1,004 millibars. Barometric pressure. Since we last updated, or I posted the last video, you guys can see that Erin is, for the most part, moving west, but it actually looks ragged, basically. So starting to lose some convection, but nevertheless, it still have winds strong enough that prompted the National Hurricane Center to actually name it Erin. Now, one update that I wanted to give you guys that I did not mention on the last update, was in the Cabo Verde Islands. Unfortunately, because the storm formed that far east, it actually caused some flooding. And unfortunately, last time I checked, there was about 5 people that died because of the flooding. So wanted to point that out. Of course, sometimes we focus so much on, oh, well, the storm is not that strong, it's not a hurricane, it's not a major hurricane, etc. But here it goes to show you that it doesn't have to be a major hurricane or a significant storm to impact somebody's lives and potentially end somebody's life. So nevertheless, this is one of the reasons why don't focus on the strength of the storm, but rather on the impacts, and especially in your area. Now, let's take a look and see what the National Hurricane Center said and the track that they also have developed. So that will be the cone. Let's actually zoom out a little bit and so you guys can see, which is very interesting how the National Hurricane Center, and that's probably because of the agreement of the forecasting models, before it actually goes north of Puerto Rico, they're expecting it to actually be a major hurricane, which is highly unlikely that the National Hurricane Center becomes so bullish. And from the very first advisory, they're already saying that this has potential of becoming a major hurricane. So that's very unusual, but nevertheless, there's a lot of good agreement that that is potentially what is going to happen. Now, as far as the recurving or the curving north is starting to happen around Tuesday morning, potentially Monday night, and then on Wednesday night, actually, it's expected to become a hurricane. And again, this is just the very first advisory. Most likely, everything you see here is going to change. It is too far out still, and Erin is already overachieving. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to what the National Hurricane Center is saying as in terms of strength and path and all that stuff, because it's too early. But nevertheless, it is already overachieving. Now let's actually back off a little bit so we can look at our other things here. I mean, this is kind of pretty much the same thing. Around Thursday morning, or actually no, Wednesday, that's how I said it, it's expected to be a hurricane. So we're talking about it in a couple days. Now the movement is moving west at 20 miles per hour. Winds sustain of 45 miles per hour, so that's why it has the designation now of tropical storm. Now let's take a look at the wind probabilities. Now, depending on how big the storm gets, obviously it can still impact, even if it's a low percentage, it can still impact the Windward Islands and Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, depending how close it gets to it. But nevertheless, they will feel some of its impacts. Now let's actually read what the bulletin is to see what the National Hurricane is thinking. So Tropical Storm Erin forms just west of the Cabo Verde Islands. Okay. There are no coastal watches or warnings as of now. And let's see, earlier satellite wind data indicated that maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour The tropical storm force winds extend outward from the center 35 miles per hour. The estimated minimum pressure, center pressure, is 1,004 millibars. So the next complete advisory is going to be at 8 p.m. We'll get some probably minor updates throughout the day. But so let's actually read a little more on this one here. On the discussion and outlook, because I just saw something that caught my eye. And Erin is moving towards the west near 20 miles per hour, and this motion is expected to continue for the next several days. So the key here is, how long is Erin going to continue to move west? The longer it continues to move west, the closer it's going to get to the United States. Now, is this going to be an event where it may scrape the eastern coast of the United States? There's potential for that. And that's why we got to keep an eye on that. Now, the last part of that statement, or further down, gradual strengthening is forecast over the next several days. So, in other words, it's not expected to weaken. It's going to gradually continue to strengthen, and that's why we need to keep an eye on this. But I wanted to give you this update again. August 11th, 2025, 11 a.m. update. I'll update you guys later throughout the day if there anything changes, any significant updates. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.